Let me give an example of an algorithm. So what is an algorithm and what is the difference by doing things the brute force way or doing things with a smart algorithm? Let's talk about internet. How many pages do we have on internet? Well, let's say a couple of billions, maybe even more. How much text is there on a page? Let's say 1,000 characters. So let's say we have a couple of trillions or maybe even more characters on the internet. Let's imagine that we took all those texts and put them after each other. So the first page on the internet, the second, the third, whatever, in some order, as a long book. We would then have a long book with a couple of trillion texts. Let's now imagine that we view this as a long set of texts. So we have the first text starting at the first character and then being several trillion characters long. We have the second text starting at the second character, having the same length as the first but one less. We have the third text, etc. So now we have a couple of trillion texts. Assume that we can sort all those texts in alphabetic order. But we don't actually sort the text, we sort references to them. So we say the first text, one starting with A, etc., is there. The second text is there. The third text is there. So we now have a couple of trillion references to texts. Now let's do an internet search for an arbitrary text. Instead of reading all those texts, all the web pages, what we do instead, we look in our references. We look at the middle reference. So we take in all the sorted references, we take the middle reference and we look there. And the text we're looking for, maybe before that text in alphabetic order or maybe after, whatever, we can then exclude half of the choices. So let's say that our reference text is before, then we know now we're stuck with just the first half. Then we look in the middle of that first half. And we repeat. So each time we check at one position, we will exclude half of the candidates. Now we can actually handle trillions of texts in 30, 40 queries and we're done. Because the power of halving is enormous. If I start with 1,000, I have to halve 10 times. If I start with 1,000,000, I have to halve 20 times. With a billion is 30 and with a trillion is 40. So let's say in 60 halving, I can search anything on the planet. That's a good example of an algorithm. Don't read the whole data, arrange the data in a smart way, and then do smart queries.